Let's embark on a journey together. A journey that might change the way that you see the world around you. I want you to close your eyes. Now, I want you to imagine the most ferocious and deadly predators in all of the animal kingdom. What are you thinking of? Are you thinking of tigers, lions, sharks, maybe snakes? Now, I want you to think about the sorts of traits that you're associating with these predators. Are you seeing sharp claws, maybe big teeth? Are you imagining a predator ambushing and taking down its prey? I want you to open your eyes. This image likely does not match the one that you were previously thinking. Yes, this is a dragonfly. The ones that remind us of summer, the ones that may even land at the end of your fishing pole, the ones that you may label as beautiful and even dainty. You see, I too thought this way of dragonflies. That was until in childhood, my perception of dragonflies abruptly changed when I rescued what I thought to be a drowning dragonfly and it bit me. You see, we create stereotypes to help us understand the world around us, to put things into boxes, which is good if the goal is to optimize or make things efficient or predictable. However, while boxes help us organize the world around us, they often limit our understanding of it. And if we allow ourselves to be influenced by these limitations, we lose our own ability to be creative, innovative, and ultimately adaptable. The earth is a great teacher, inviting us to look beneath the surface to reflect and find answers. So today, I want to talk to you about why we should be more like dragonflies. Reason number one, dragonflies challenge us to defy stereotypes. You see, the fragile and dainty dragonfly is one of the most efficient hunters in all of the animal kingdom. It's a super predator. A dragonfly can capture and consume 97% of its targeted prey. This outperforms tigers, which are at about 10%, and even great white sharks. So this likely does not align with how you've always thought about dragonflies, right? And this discrepancy is what's always truly fascinated me about them. And in many ways, I find myself relating to them. This difference between appearance and capability, well, it also mirrors how we as humans make assumptions. I relate to dragonflies because I'm a misfit, a fish out of water. I never really knew where I belonged because I felt like I belonged everywhere. Think back to your own childhood dreams. What did you want to be when you grew up? Are you living those dreams? Or perhaps life has taken you on an unexpected path. Back to when I was just 3 years old and I knew exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up, a performer. And I can still feel the beak of the raven costume I wore stepping out onto the stage as a raven in a Noah's Ark. And I can still see the lights that, although were blinding, did not prevent the faces of the audience from materializing. So picture this, 40 kids, mom-made costumes, walking out onto the stage in twos, and I remember something. We were mimicking everything from birds to reptiles to mammals, and as each of our pairs was revealed, the laughter from the audience grew. Something else also grew. My love of the connection between a live audience and a performer. My passion for performing eventually led me to pursue a degree in theater. And although I remained on the stage through most of my life, I still had many other interests, hobbies, things I wanted to do and explore. So as my last year of graduation was approaching, I started to feel myself a little bit anxious, unsettled, knowing that I didn't want to commit to doing just one thing for the rest of my life, that there was still a lot I wanted to explore academically. This is how I stumbled into biology. And we often stereotype that artists might not be interested in science because I remember the comments that I received when I told people I was also going to study science. I don't get the connection. That doesn't make sense. How did you go from art to science? The truth is, I never went anywhere. I didn't stop loving performing in theater because I also wanted to study biology. I just grew, diversified. I expanded my niche. I eventually became an ecologist. And in ecology, the term niche has a very specific meaning. When we use the term niche, we're using it to describe the role that an organism plays in its environment. And when we're looking at these interactions, we're interested in both the non-living components, so things like temperature, maybe rainfall, as well as the living components, so the other organisms that are existing. We're curious about its habitat and food and the things that it needs to survive. Bringing me to lesson number 2. Dragonflies teach us that we should not limit our niches. This is because dragonflies exemplify and exist in many different types of environments. You can find dragonflies out at the beach. You can find them in the desert. Dragonflies have challenged the notion that they are supposed to be limited to any one specific range. Think back to the roles that you play in your life, both personally and professionally. Do these align with your strengths and passions? How do you define your niche? Perhaps these might make you feel restricted, knowing that with more freedom or time to explore, you could offer so much more. Well, dragonflies teach us that we too can choose. We have the choice. We can either reduce and keep our niche small, we can not appropriately match our environment, or we can embrace our uniqueness and expand our niche. I personally prefer the latter. I have really forged my own path in life, from performing on the stage and working at Disney to simultaneously doing research in the desert on fish. I have always challenged the notion that we're supposed to exist in any one specific place with prescribed expectations and roles and traits, expectations that might ultimately lead us from leading fulfilling lives. Instead, we really should embrace our unique and diverse traits. Our world is a mosaic of many different types of physical environments, from the frigid tundra to the plains that are windy. If we sit back and observe nature, one thing becomes abundantly clear. Organisms have evolved a variety of remarkable traits that have helped them overcome the challenges that were presented throughout their environments. And although these are really fascinating, they also tell a compelling story about the history and evolution of life on a changing planet. Bringing me to lesson number 3. Dragonflies teach us that we really should embrace all of our individual and authentic traits. This is because dragonflies exemplify some of the most innovative and creative traits. They belong to an ancient order of insects called Odonata, one with almost over 7,000 described species. You can really find them anywhere. They were among one of the first to evolve flight. And unlike every other flying organism, they don't just move their wings back and forth, they move them up and down, which allows them to not just go forward, but also go up, down, and hover. And they have extreme maneuverability, which allows them to process and adjust as their environment is changing. And another trait, and perhaps one of their more distinguishable, their eyes. Each of their eyes has over 28,000 lenses that they use to process the world at rapid speeds, sometimes even being able to see the world a full 360 degrees. This eyesight has contributed to much of their brain being dedicated to just this. And between these two, this has led to them being super predators. And a third trait, and one that may have perhaps changed the course of my both career and potentially life. So you know that dragonflies are a lot of times found near water. Do you know why that is? This is because dragonflies do not spend most of their life on the land where we observe them. They actually begin their life underwater. So I remember a budding ecologist, I was venturing off to a nearby stream, going to collect samples from the stream bed to bring back to the lab and process under a microscope. And whenever I returned to the lab and looked under the microscope, what appeared to the untrained eye to be just shards of glass emerged one of these. Cute, right? This is a dragonfly baby, or more appropriately, a dragonfly nymph. And yes, they come into the world with this formidable set of utensils. So not only do they dominate on land, they also are top predators underwater. And as a result of this, they've been able to exploit resources between both the water and land. These traits have contributed to them being adaptable. I have also actively harnessed and developed my own unique traits to help me overcome the many obstacles that presented itself throughout my life. So when working in the desert, where conditions can be grueling, remote, I often found myself needing to wear many different hats. At times, I needed to be a plumber or trying to fix an experimental design flaw. At other times, a chemist or trying to check for the quality of the water. And many times, a communicator, trying to simplify complex findings and deliver them to the public. You see, ecology is a rich and dynamic field. It's seeking to understand and find solutions for complex issues like climate change, habitat loss, invasive species. Complex issues that really complement me living my life as a generalist. And in fact, we know that being a generalist and having many different interests results in people who are able to quickly adapt. And in a world that's rapidly changing, these traits are critical to not only the health of humanity, but also our ecosystems, where nearly every issue we're facing is requiring an interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary solution, where we need creativity and innovation. Bringing me to the ultimate lesson that dragonflies teach us. So in our remarkable exploration of the world of dragonflies, we witness how they fiercely defy stereotypes. They really push us to expand our niches, and they have embraced their traits, which have made them adaptable. And all of these collectively have led to them being resilient. So dragonflies have secured their place through time by using change as a driving force for growth. We too should see change as a catalyst for both personal and also collective growth. We shouldn't let one thing define us. No, instead we should embrace our differences, embrace diversity, embrace change, because when we do, we become nimble, adaptable. Traits that are critical for humanity, yet human systems seek categorization and simplification, leaning towards predictability, efficiency. But it's important that we understand that predictability and efficiency do not equal resilience. So as our journey nears its end, I reflect on a 3-year-old's curiosity, a desire not to specialize and study any one thing, but to experience everything. Something that being an ecologist and an artist have allowed me to do. They've allowed me to play and explore and stay curious and make profound discoveries about the world around me. So picture this. You encounter a dragonfly once more, no longer merely an insect, but a symbol of resilience, showing us that just like they gracefully traverse between the water and the land, we too can approach and go on through life's ever-changing currents. So let us commit to this together today. Let us commit to celebrating change, embracing it, celebrating diversity, and going into the world instead a community of dragonflies, where we are agents of positive change, working towards a more harmonious and resilient world. Thank you.